Here's what I should say. I tried to get Lewis black, but gray was cheaper, so here's the gray.
Hello. That was better on paper than it actually worked out. All right, now I need a defibrillator. Anyone? Anyone can help me? Hold on one sec. It's complete. I'm looking at complete darkness. Oh, there we go. Hey Liz, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Did you hear my introduction?
I did. It was way too complimentary.
No, you didn't hear the very end?
Yeah, with the joke that I'm out of jail. One second. I am out of shape. How's everyone doing tonight? Good? It's good to see everyone out tonight. It's nice to see a big crowd like this. I'm sorry about the disappointment you're about to face. Let's see, what's going on? I always like to start with a little bit of what's going on in the news. So I was listening to the radio up on the way here. Just the beginning, a couple of stories I was thinking about talking about. I don't know if everyone's heard about the tragedy with the tiger in San Francisco. Is everyone aware of what's going on? No, it's very, very sad, but I have to tell you, I don't understand what they're interviewing all these zookeepers, and they all seem very, very surprised that this tiger would do such a terrible thing. Let me tell you something. Tigers are good at one thing: chasing things, catching them, and eating them. When they do that, that's what they're supposed to do. You can't be surprised that they're going to do that, because that's their nature. I mean, they can't be that happy sitting around doing nothing all day. I mean, if you put me in front of a TV, let's say all day, and watching reality shows, I'm going to jump out of my house one day and kill someone as well. It's not their natural habitat. And they had this long list of things that the tigers have done in the past. Like, this tiger has already taken an arm off a zookeeper, and other tigers have attacked people. You know, I'm not an animal lover per se, but maybe it's time to just get the tigers out of the zoo. I mean, you know, how many times do you need this to happen for you to quit doing that? I mean, like I said, I am not an animal rights activist. I'll tell you right now, in no way, shape, or form. If you, for instance, let's say you could find a cure to cancer by hooking up a raccoon's brain to a car battery. Well, you know what I have to say is something like that? The red is positive and the black is negative. So certainly I'm not that. The other thing I heard on the way up is about the elections. It's election season, and all I hear people is the woe that people say. You know, elections are just so dirty these days. They're not genteel like they used to be. Everyone says, "Oh, they're so dirty," and it's downright terrible how vicious they are. Let me tell you something. You want a tough election? Go to Pakistan. They have tough election. Okay? It's not so tough here. Believe me, it's a lot easier than in most places in the world. I was also thinking that apparently Pakistan, in Pakistan is short for packing heat. I don't know if anyone knew about that, but that's true. Anyways, everyone's doing good today. The holiday season is almost over. The holiday season for me was over a little bit longer ago. Hanukkah was over a couple of weeks ago. And really the point was driven home to me about, you know, the holiday season for me and for others when I attended my company Hanukkah party. See, I'm already losing it here. Holiday party, because they call it a holiday party. And it's very especially tough for someone who's a kosher Jew to attend one of these things, because you basically can't eat anything there. So in about 15 minutes into the party, you're drunk. Because the beer is fine. That's about it. So you're drinking and drinking. And I have to tell you something. I was so drunk in the first part of this party. I was in the back room looking at the eggnog container, looking for a kosher symbol. They can drink this. You know, and then there's people that, you know you can't eat any of the food and they feel bad for you, and then there's always one guy who comes running over you, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and your other coworkers are kind of looking at you like the sad look, like, I'm so sorry, Lou. I'm so very, very sorry. And then of course my dinner finally comes. You get a kosher dinner, and it's wrapped about 50 times with tin foil. And they always present you the kosher dinner right when the speeches are starting. So you have to open it. It sounds something like this. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the holiday party. We had a really good year this year. Hold on, I'm really hungry. And then it's really embarrassing. But I discovered one thing. With the Christmas season and everything going on, the famous Santa Claus song. I believe, and I think the Naughty or Nice campaign with the Santa Claus thing, I really think they stole it from Yom Kippur. Does anyone agree with that? I think it's basically the same thing. You watch out. They know you're naughty or nice, so you have to be very, very careful. Everyone out there enjoying the buffet? Is the food good? Everyone's enjoying the food? I just have a few. But let me tell you before I go on any further. I just want to know that tonight's show is basically going to be a litany of complaints by myself. So be prepared for that, because I have a lot of complaints, and I have them all written down in this paper right here. So I'm going to be talking about it. The buffet here it's pretty good. I'm not going to complain about it here. But if you ever go to a kiddush after the services, or even a big wedding or something like that, everybody's running to the buffet table at the same time. There's a few characters at the buffet table I want to talk about first. The first one is the browsers. Anyone know the browsers? They don't know what they want, but they're out there looking. Jay, you're waiting in line for 20 minutes. They're looking. Let's see. Wow, that's unusual. Cheese. Let's see what else is here. Fruit. Wow, cheese and fruit. I don't know what am I going to pick on this one? I have my choice right there. Then there's sometimes you go to a really fancy wedding and they carve like animals out of ice is good, but I was actually thinking of like a watermelon. You ever see the watermelon sculptures? And you got people at the wedding taking pictures of this thing while you're waiting in line. Hey, what's that? It's a watermelon duck. Is anyone ever going to use these pictures for any I'd like to show you some pictures of my kids in my wallet, but what I have 20 pictures of the watermelon duck. I don't think that's going to work out. Then there's the hunted peckers. You know those? The people that are actually eating right there at the buffet table? They're not moving, they're just eating. Right? It's a little bit of this, that's delicious, that's delicious. And then finally, there's the ones who they fill their plate up, but they don't move. They're eating right there at the buffet table. This is great. Come on, it's 35 minutes. I'm starving. I just got back from the holiday party. I haven't eaten anything. Can I get some food here? So it's after the holidays, and I spoke a little bit about this last year. We eat a lot of stuff. With Jews, we have to eat. It's the law. It's in the Torah, and we have to. We have potato latkes. Everything is fried, right? That's the idea. Everything has to be made in oil. Everything is fried. So by the time I get to the doctor's office after all these holidays, my cholesterol level has a comma in it, which right away my doctor says that's a really bad thing. So I got to go on a diet. Time to go on a diet. And then you have, everyone gives you diet tips. You know the diet tips, everyone has a diet tip. One of my favorite diet tips is when people tell me, drink a lot of water. If you drink a lot of water, you won't be hungry. This is a blatant lie. I'll tell you what happens when you drink a lot of water. You get bloated, you go to the bathroom, you're hungry. And then other people have specific diets, like eat a lot of one certain food, and you won't be hungry anymore, like bananas. That's a big one, because I guess it's good for you, bananas, somewhat. So eat a lot of bananas. Just keep eating, every time you eat a banana. That also makes you bloated. Then you can't go to the bathroom again, and you gain a lot of weight. It doesn't work. Other people say, you know what, you could become a vegetarian. Listen, I worked very, very hard to get on top of the food chain. I am not going back to the bottom. I refuse to do that. One of the favorite things to eat, you know, being Jewish, one of my favorite things to eat, and I believe it's also in the Torah, is eating Chinese food. Everybody loves Chinese food. So when I get to New York, I get to eat Chinese, very excited. I go in there. Let me tell you something. Never ask the Chinese waiter anything. I'll tell you why. The Chinese waiter only answers your question the way he thinks you want to hear the answer. Excuse me, I'd like to know a little bit about this dish. Is this dish hot? Oh yes, very, very hot. Burn your inside out. Your colon will be like golf course. No, you don't understand. That's not what I want. I don't want a hot meal. I don't want it so spicy. Oh, freezing cold like iceberg. Sing Titanic. I actually have a Chinese menu. I should have brought it here with me tonight. New York has got a lot of interesting things. The Chinese menu actually said on it, "We will improve our delivery service." And that verbatim. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that remark. We will improve. So I finally, all right, whatever. I pay the check. I pay the bill with a personal check, and I write on the memo of the check, "I will try to stop my checks from bouncing in the future." I have to say a little bit about why Americans are out of shape. There's this new game out. Someone just told me about this game, and probably I'm very technically unsavvy. But there's a new game. Maybe you can help me. It's called a Wii or a Y or a Wii. Thank you very much over there. A Wii. The Wii game. You can simulate all kinds of sporting events in your living room. You can play baseball, just looking at the TV screen, waiting. Actually have bowling. You're actually doing this. That's what you're doing. You're basically doing that over and over again. This is for people who the actual sport of bowling is a little too tough, a little too strenuous for them. Actually go out and bowl. So what's going to be next? This simulated kite flying? Perhaps simulating fishing. You go on for hours about that. So after that, you know what I do? I always, after the holidays, I always think, you know, all this food I've eaten and it's probably still in my teeth. I have to go to the dentist. I talked a little bit about the dentist before. The dentist always, you know, there's reasons why people don't like the dentist, the pain and everything like that. I understand that. But I have a question. First of all, you go in the dentist. This is not like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you go to the dentist would see you, we take x-rays, he give you a cleaning. Then if you had cavities, you had to come back sometime to get the cavities. Sometimes you do it on the spot. Now the dentist office has about 15 million employees. Anyone have any idea why the dentist needs somebody? And you don't get to see the actual dentist. Dentist comes in, unless, of course, the question is asked, the famous question, I love so much. How often do you floss? And then I always have to tell them, I generally floss when there's something stuck in my teeth. That's the wrong answer. No, I'm sorry, no. All right, we'll get everybody in here. So the whole crew comes in and they give you the whole lecture. They're very, very upset at you. You have to floss more often. You have to floss every day. You know, I'm sorry. Let's get everyone. The dentist comes in and says, I'm very disappointed in you. Oh, a question though. I have a question. You could go in for heart surgery. And I think they do that outpatient now. You could go in for all kinds of things. But if I have to have a root canal in my teeth, I have to go back to the dentist's office 23 times. Why is that? This is much more, you think this is less complicated than heart surgery. Apparently it's not. Heart surgery, you're out. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Dentist's like, what are you doing till 2010? We have a lot of visits here we need from you. Anyway, so what else is going on? So I think Jews are interesting. Jews will argue about anything. I've had, and I'm sure that some of us have heard this argument before. You ever see the argument of Hannaford versus Price Chopper? Does anyone ever? I've heard people talking like getting really, really heated arguments. Which is better? I prefer Hannaford because I think everything is in much better order. It's cleaner. It's a beautiful place. Well, I actually prefer Price Chopper because you get a club card and you get to be a member of a very exclusive club. It really makes me feel good. And talking about the club card, you get the card, right, and you need this card to get all the bargains. So let's say you forget the card home, you don't have the card. The cashier sometimes has a special universal card in her drawer. And she'll swipe that for you. Sometimes she won't. They'll say, tough luck. You got to go apply. There's a lot. You need a lot of credentials for that. I want to know how the cashier decides if you're going to be the guy who she takes the magic card out for. He's like, oh, I don't know if it's a compliment or it's an insult. Like, wow, you look really pitiful on the card. So then, then you have this thing. You're standing in the line of the groceries, and you're trying to decide. Here's the decision you have to make. Am I going to help bag these groceries? Everyone have that situation? Sometimes there's a bagger like, oh, Baruch Hashem, I don't have to make that decision. Other times you walk over and you have to make the decision to do it. And let's say you got a lot of groceries and you want to help out. So this is inevitably what will happen. You walk to the end of the aisle, and then there's the bags for the people who want to help bag the thing. And there's no way to separate these bags. There's no way, it's not going to happen. So generally, you're like this as the whole thing goes. By the time you're finished with your one bag and you have this thing open, you got one can of soup left. I helped. I'm a good citizen. One thing I never like to do when I go shopping, it's very bad for me to go shopping when I'm hungry. Do people do this? You go shopping when you're hungry. You make the inevitable impulse purchase, right? The impulse purchase at the store. Normally, it's not that harmful. Maybe buy a bag of M&Ms, get some chips. You know when this becomes really dangerous? When you're at BJ's. Because now the impulse purchase takes on a whole new meaning. Honey, I bought the giant barrel of cashews. We're going to need these. Hon, how are you going to get that in the car? I don't see how you're going to carry that. Don't worry, I bought the giant cheese wheel. I'm going to attach it right to the barrel, and I'm going to roll it right out into the house. Don't worry about it. I got 42 pounds of red kidney beans. I don't know why. I have 42 pounds. We're going to have to buy 150 pounds of chop meat to make some chili. Hopefully, we have a lot of people coming for Shabbos. I hope so. I hope we get a lot of guests this week. When I'm in the store, though, you always get, anyone ever look at the receipt afterwards to check if they did the right thing? Like if you got the bargains that you're supposed to get. And you look and you're like, oh, they triple charged me for the can of tuna fish. Now you have to go to they can't help you at the cashier. You got to go to the courtesy counter now. And inevitably, when you're at the courtesy counter, you know who you end up behind? The lottery guy. Does everyone know the lottery guy? Yeah, he's out there. All right, I want 3, 2, 6, 4. triple team, trifecta on the 3, 6, 7, 8. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, January, February, March, April. I want 6, 7, 8, 4, 2, 3, 3, minus 2, divided by 3, square root of pi. If this guy spent half the time he spent figuring, and he has no paper, he's not reading it from anywhere. He knows this in his head somehow. If he spent half the time he did memorizing those numbers, he'd be a nuclear scientist. He could really apply himself. So I recently actually, I flew somewhere. I get a little nervous about flying. I'm a nervous flyer. I'm not a catatonic flyer, but I'm a nervous flyer. I don't love flying. And you know what people always say to you when you say I'm a nervous flyer? Anyone here? What's the line about when you say I'm nervous about flying? Anyone know?
It's safer than
But,
driving.
what'd you say?
It's safer than driving.
It's safe. That's it. You win, Jack. Give him a pass for the next one. All right. It's safer than driving. Because somehow that's supposed to make you feel better. You know, statistically, it's much more dangerous when you get into behind the wheel of your car than it is when you fly. All right, let me see if I can tell you the truth. I am not afraid of the possibility of death, although I'm not thrilled with that. That's not what I fear. When you're driving a car, you don't plunge 30,000 feet. I'm afraid of the plunge. I'm not afraid of the death. The plunge is what scares me. I don't want to know I'm going to die for 5 minutes. So then you end up sitting next to the guy who's actually more afraid of the flying than you are. This is great. This really makes you feel better. The guy will say, you know, there's a lot of turbulence. You get some strange sound coming out of the engine, and he'll say to you, "Oh, that sounded like the engine blew." How far do you think you can fly in one engine? The answer is always the same. I think we'll make it all the way to the crash site. And then there's a guy also, the guy who always talks to you on the plane, and this could be the train or any public transportation. You get the guy who wants to have a whole conversation with you, and you realize, you look at your watch, you're on a 5-hour flight. He's already starting this kind of thing. So now you got a choice. A, pretend you're sleeping. That works for a while, but the problem is every time you check, you look up. Hey, how about those bears? You try again, open up later. Hey, and you hear what's going on in the news? No, I can't. You gotta keep either pretending you're sleeping, or you have to humor him or make him somehow figure out some strategy to make him stop. Please, just maybe, but nothing works. You could try ignoring him. You could just shake your head yes for everything. And he'll keep going. You won't take the fact that you're not responding to him in any way except for a nod. You won't take that as a hint at all. And then they'll ask you, can you help me pick out some gifts from Sky Mall? He's your best friend now. You gotta talk to him. You gotta deal with him. Anyway, I have a choice right now. Maybe Liz can help me decide. I can either keep going or I can do a second set. What do you think?
Second set.
Hello. Hello, everybody. How's it going? All right. My friend here pointed out last time I was up, I was still huffing and puffing from a little run at the end of my set. I'm still tired from that, so apparently the diet's working well. First of all, I want to thank, I know we mentioned them already, but I want to thank the Israels and the Kovaches for sponsoring tonight. Thank you very much. I don't know if you know this, you probably don't know this, but as part of the prize, Mark and Rob get a lap dance from me. I don't know if did anyone tell you that? Right now. See, I know Mark is thinking already, what's Lou going to wear? I know that, Mark. I know you.
They have a 7-second censor.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, it's after 10 o'clock.
All for it, Lou.
All right. Anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit about growing up. My childhood, my very, very horrible. No, I'm just kidding. It was fine. But and a little comparison to the way things are now. Right now, everyone's going crazy about the lead they're finding on kids' toys, and everyone's like up in arms, like the. Now, it's pretty bad. I'm not going to put it down. I have 4 kids, so I'm going to have to be careful myself. But you still have to eat the lead. It's not going to blow up. So you have to make sure your kids are not eating the toys and all that stuff. Now, when I was a kid, there weren't these kind of worries. Anyone grow up and have the thermos in the lunchbox with the glass inside? Yeah. All you had to do was drop it, and you had a mouthful of Hawaiian Punch and shards of glass together. And no one ever said this was a problem. Everyone was just, it's fine, because kids never drop things, so it'll never be a problem. So you have the, some, nice, delicious cocktail there. It always kind of reminds me of the, I bought a pair of sneakers the other day, and there was a little packet inside. And I looked at the packet. What little prize came with my sneakers? It says, just a packet that just says, do not eat. That is so disappointing. Oh, look. Anyone's going to do this. Hey, this was in my sneakers. Delicious. If you can read the do not eat, you're probably not going to eat it. I would assume if you're big enough to read it. But everything was, when I was a kid, my father always told me everything that bad happened to me, like the mouthful of glass at school, it was building character. Anyone have a dad? Son, that's building character. Your tongue came off. But you're building some character. You'd smash your head into a wall at 50 miles an hour on your bike. You're building some character there, son. You've got some brain damage, but you build some character. And I think things weren't so politically correct. I'm going to be a little unpolitically correct right now, but things are not, things are not politically correct then. Do you know they actually had classifications, psychological classifications of children that you could be a moron, you could be an imbecile, you could be an idiot. A moron was the top of that little thing, and an idiot was the bottom. So essentially, you could be an imbecile and study for months and months to become a moron. You come running to me, Mom, guess what, I'm a moron. Don't play with the kid next door, he's an idiot. So it's not very politically correct. And I would like to sum up the Jewish guilt thing. The Jewish guilt thing, it basically went like this. It's not even an explanation, it's just basically a situation. Coming from school. Your brother failed all his classes. Are you happy? Are you happy? I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. Your brother smashed his head in. He's bleeding all over the place. You happy? You happy? You happy? You happy? You happy? Yeah, I guess I'm not that happy. My parents thought it would be good, and you guys might, you didn't heard this before, close your ears, but my parents thought it would be good to, for my vocabulary, to feed me alphabets every morning. When I was a baby, they would just give me alphabets every day. Every day I had alphabets for breakfast, and I don't really think it helped my vocabulary very much, as you could probably tell, but they found War and Peace in my diapers, so I thought that was nice. So, and then we have another question. When you guys study for tests, anyone ever tell this to you? This I don't, and I don't even have a joke for this, but I just have a comment. When you would study for tests as a kid, did you have people tell you never to study an hour before the exam? Because that would, I never understood. Like, there was some kind of golden hour right before the test that if you studied, your head would implode somehow, and you'd forget everything that you knew. So, I mean, a lot of times I was able to learn a little bit before the test. I don't know. Just an observation. It's not actually. There's no punchline here. It's very disappointing. Now my kids go to a religious school, Maimonides Day School. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. It's so different from when I grew up. I mean, I grew up with a school that had like 1,000 kids in it, and this is such a small school. It has like really small classes. In fact, Maimonides, I heard, they started a marching band, but they can only have enough kids to form a period. So it didn't really go over that well. Anyway, I go back to the very beginning with my kids. I just have a little more complaints. I have more complaints. I want to find the guy who changed the rule, whereas before, when you had a baby, you would go into the waiting room, wait for the baby to be born. The nurse would come out and tell you, well, you had a boy or a girl. It seemed very nice. It seemed like a nice thing. Sometimes you even go to the bar across the street. My father would tell me, they said, go to the bar across the street. And the nurse would come across the street and tell you had a baby. Someone along the line decided that we, the men, should witness this festivity that's going on in there. And I am really angry at that guy. Well, I mean, basically, you're watching the person you love the most in your whole life go through the worst pain that she's ever gone through. And you get to witness all this. There's nothing you can do. You stand there like a deer in the headlights. Like, okay, hon, stop breathing, breathe. Isn't that this breathing thing? Can you imagine they try this stuff on men? They say, okay, we're going to extract every tooth in your mouth, no anesthesia, but you're going to hyperventilate during the procedure. It's going to help out. Would any man buy that? I don't think they would buy that. So in the end of this whole thing, the room looks like a scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just not. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's not pretty, it's not fun, so I just want to go out there and be told, hey, yeah, well, congratulations, sir. That really works out for you. I like that. And then we decided to change to a midwife one time to go a little bit more of the natural way. And we had an interesting midwife. And my wife will testify to this. She would never answer any of our questions. She would ask another question to answer a question. It would be kind of like this. Is it okay for my wife to eat sushi during her pregnancy? And the midwife would say, what do you think the Japanese do? And she would continually do this. It was like, is it okay to eat cold cuts? That was another question we actually had. What do you think the Germans do? Can my wife get stinking drunk during her early stage of pregnancy? What do you think the Irish do? Can my wife cliff dive in her 9th month? What do you think the Brazilians do in the outer banks of the Amazon? I don't know, that was not helpful. I'm going to tell you, the old way was the best way. The women would be unconscious, they'd be general anesthesia. My mother, when she had me, she didn't wake up till I was 7 years old. That made the whole sleeping through the baby, and that made everything so much easier for her. I really would advocate that if I could. Anyway, I've been here before, as you guys know, and I really enjoy doing this. And one of the things what's interesting is people coming up to me at different days and saying, I have a great idea, I have a joke. And everybody does that, everyone does it. And so, typically it goes like this, though. You have to be nice. Typically it goes like this. I have a joke for you, okay? I'm like, all right, go ahead. Knock, knock. I don't do knock, knock jokes. This is not what I mean. I'm not going to sit here and do knock. Oh, this is really funny. Everyone will love this because it's political humor. Okay, fine. Knock, knock. Who's there? President Bush. President Bush. President Bush is a Nazi! You're going to use that? Well, I guess it's kind of funny. I don't know. I don't know. And then the people that come out, and they'll say, then some people have a better idea. They have a sort of a theme, but it's still not something. Hey, Lou, I have something for you. What? You know when you eat a lot of vitamins? Yeah, I know. You eat a lot of vitamins. Yeah, and then you go to the bathroom and it's like a fluorescent color? I guess. Can you use that? Well, I guess I just did, but I don't know. Oh, you know what? I forgot my prop. Beth, I forgot my prop. I can't do my joke with the men's size 0 because I forgot my prop. I have to save that for next time. I just want to I'll make it as save it for next time? I was going to make a comment on I found out this recently that there's a women's size 0 And women just trying to torture themselves. I don't get it. Men do not have a size 0. And I said, like, this, I was going to pull up something. This isn't even a size 0, and I had my kid's little tiny jacket, but it was not going to work out now, so sorry. But I just ruined it for next time. You guys, anyone know the score of the game tonight? Anyone, did anyone get that score?
7-3 when I was.
Oh, it's taping it. I'm sorry. All right, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'd say sports is a really big thing these days. Everyone's really into sports. Now, after the Super Bowl is over and before the baseball season starts, they don't know what to put on TV, so they invent these sports. Does anyone see these like invented sports? It's kind of like, we're going to have a combo sport. It's called extreme sports. We're going to have you run a 100-yard dash and fish. And let's see who can win that one. Ever see one like that, Jack? They're very funny. Actually, I have a tree in front of my house that's pretty much dead. And my wife and I are arguing whether to get rid of her. Now we're just discussing it. We don't argue, right? So the gardener came in and took like a piece off the bark and brought it back to his laboratory for examining it. And he came back and said, "All right, your tree's actually alive. It's alive. You shouldn't get rid of it. It's fine." I was like, you know what? You know what I'm looking for in a tree? I'm looking for a tree that I know is alive, even when I don't know anything about trees. That would be my minimal amount. A couple of other things I noticed. You know, did you notice that Jews don't have like the Sue middle name that like sometimes the Gentiles like? There are no Jews named Peggy Sue. They're just generally no anyone. I don't know. Someone know one. Alana just raised her hand. Is Peggy Sue? My joke's over. What's that?
She can only say that because her parents left.
Peggy Sue. Right, your parents left, so we can do it. Okay. Peggy Sue, Betty Sue. Do you know why that's true? I just figured out. Because to Jews, Sue is a verb. I like to do like, I'm going to close out now with the imitation of this, and I told Leon I wouldn't do the joke, but I think Leon left. Did Leon leave? Okay, here's my Russian guy. Russian guy in New York. All the Russian guys were engineers. No matter what they do here, they were all engineers. The 2-year-old baby, that was an engineer. The 6-year-old was an engineer. They're very, and they were very good life. So I always say, so I talk to them and they'd be like this. Hey, so what did you do in Russia? Oh, in Russia, I was a very rich man. I have 12 Mercedes, each made of solid gold. I had 12 vacation houses, each made of solid gold. And I had 1,200 servants, each made of solid gold. So I said, wow, that's pretty amazing. So why did you come here? It's much better here. And they would always, then he would say, Lou, the freedom is worth the solid of gold. And that's not really that funny, but I'm going to leave you with that tonight. And we'll have a good night, and get home safe. Thanks for coming. Hello. Hello, everybody. How's it going? All right.